Suck it down.
Hi and welcome to my review videos. This time I'm reviewing the T-34-1. The T-34-1 is a tier 7 Chinese medium tank and is a major upgrade coming from the Type 58. One of these upgrades is the gun. It has 175mm of penetration with armor piercing rounds and a 235mm of penetration with gold shells. The damage output is pretty good for its own tier, but it suffers from a long reload and poor aiming time. Speed and maneuverability are okay, but it's kinda bad when going uphill. However, going downhill, this baby can hit up to 60 km an hour, while its top speed is 50 km an hour. Armor is poor on the hill, but talking about turret armor, it has 170mm of sloped frontal turret armor with 120mm of sloped turret armor on the sides. This tank in my opinion dominates tier 7 and is still dangerous in tier 8. So, welcome back to the garage. Here is T-34-1 in the garage. Well, finally we have that tanker where we have been waiting on for so long. Basically the reason why you had to wait so long is because well, I just didn't have the time from our WoT video. As I said that I was going to upload an apart video explaining why I didn't have the time. But etc, and now we are in the T-34-1. So basically what I just said in the intro is basically all what you need to know about this tank. This tank itself is one of my favorite tanks. As you can see from the service record, I only have a 50% win rate on it, but man, I love the tank. Basically you can carry very easily with this tank. If I can find it though, because it's pretty difficult to find. There we go. 50% win rate, and I almost have a 700 average experience. Now this is pretty high though for tier 700 average experience. Basically this thing plays the same as a T-54. The T-54 is a little bit faster and it has a better gun, but basically it's around the same playstyle. The thing what I like the most about this tank is the size. I mean, look at this. This is very little. For example, take the T-62A. The T-62A is a very popular medium tank. And as you can see, the T-34-1 is almost half the size of a T-62A. And it's so small and tiny, it's very difficult to hit. Plus the armor is quite bad. It's based on the T-34. But the turret armor is very good. I mean, you basically have two turrets. This turret is basically the same as the Type 15-8. As a Type 58 turret, and the Model 2 is kind of the same as those round designs like the T-54, T-62A, T-70, these round shaped turrets. No, these round shaped turrets are very good and very armored all around, and these turrets are very difficult to penetrate. This turret has 170mm of frontal armor, what's very high though, and there are lots of people with bones on me. Mostly if I end up in a close down situation and I only have like I cannot go anywhere, it's or fight or die. What I just do is I ram my tank into him even though it's a heavy tank, and I start shooting because they can't penetrate my turrets either, and because of the low profile of this tank they do not have the gun depression to hit my lower hull, so they have to shoot my turret. And mostly the bones, and it's well this technique actually quite helped me out sometimes. I've had lots of battle where I just won thanks to that. It has 120mm of side armor, although it's not that slow. It's penetratable for its own tier, but it's quite difficult though, and it has 60 on the back. No, what I do like the most about this tank is the gun. I mean, the gun is great. This is one of the first tanks where I used. This is my first tanks, excuse me, this is my first tanks where I converted experience with gold. Normally I don't do that, I grind out so I can have a story to you guys how it feels with the stock gun, but the stock gun was so horrible, I couldn't get a single kill with it. The stock gun was one of the worst grinds I ever done to this tank. I mean, I had to grind another 40k experience, and I thought like, no, I'm going to convert 20k experience, so at least I have the gun, at least I can have some fun. No, this is one of the best things I ever did. Why? Because you only can mount on this 85 millimeters. Now, before you mount at 85 millimeters, you first need a new tracks, what's 9,000 research costs, and then you need a turret, what's another 10,000. So you need 20,000 experience just to mount that extra gun, and then you need another 70,500 experience to get the gun. So you almost need 40,000 experience. Now, this is one of the longest grinds I ever done. After 20,000 experience, I gave it up and I converted some experience. Normally I don't do that because first of all it costs gold, and I want to show you guys how it feels with so at least I have an idea how it feels with the regular gun. Now, what are the difference between these guns? Well, first of all, you do not have the rate of fire anymore. This gun is one of the biggest downfalls of this gun is that it doesn't have a high rate of fire. It shoots every 11 seconds, but every 11 seconds is not that good for a medium tank. I mean, for a medium tank you do not want to have the big punch, but you want to have the DPM. No, at least the penetration makes it much better. I mean, finally it has some penetration. I've had problems with the Type 58, its penetration, because like I said from a Type 58 video, I do not like the Type 58 thanks to its horrible armor and horrible gun because of its low penetration, only 130. No, finally we have some penetration with 175 millimeters of penetration. Now this penetration doesn't look a lot, but for a medium tank it's quite good though. I mean, you can go into tier 8 battles and still penetrate and do damage. No, mostly with a medium tank you are not playing cannon meat. You just want to go around the tanks. You poorly use your penetration because mostly go around the tank. Same story in tier 9. In tier 9 you basically can't penetrate shit. But if you go around the tank, you can penetrate them. And 175 millimeters is enough to penetrate. And you have 235 millimeters with gold shells, what's pretty high, but to be honest, I never shot them. Now we have a 160 average damage on your previous gun. Now this is a pretty low average damage. This is basically another reason why I didn't like the tank. Now we have 250. Now 250 is quite good though for a tier 7 medium tank. I mean, if you compare it to the T20. T20 has around the same. Panther only has 120, I think. Aufklärungspanzer also has 120. You know, other T-34 has around the same, so it does have a quite high damage though for a medium tank in its tier. 250 is quite big. It's much better than the previous 160. Now the accuracy, although it looks quite bad on paper, it's not that bad in practice. So 0.42, you can still snipe a few people with it though. The aiming time is quite poor. So this is basically the biggest thing why I don't like the tank, because the gun. I mean, I like the gun, but if it wasn't for the aiming time, it would have been much better than it is now. Now let's talk about maneuverability. The maneuverability is not that great, but it's not bad. It's like I said before, it's kind of the same as a worse T-35, but still a very good T-54. I mean. It has a 420 engine power, and you don't have to research the engine because you already have researched it on the Type 58, as you can see. So you basically just got it unless you haven't researched it on the Type 58. And it is not that necessary if you haven't researched it on the Type 58 to get to the T-34-1 faster. It's not a big problem because it's only 20 horsepower extra. The tracks is 42 degrees, but it's pretty high though. I mean, the tracks, they turn very fast and they do not have any problems at all. It's a very good maneuverable medium tank. This is the thing what I like. The only con is, like I said before, is the gun. The gun is pretty good, but it should have a higher DPM. The radio is a tier 10 radio. It's nothing special. Now what I want to say is that the biggest, this is Typical Chinese tank, it has horrible gun depression. Every single Russian and Chinese tank, I mean, for instance, the Japanese are basically influenced by the Americans, and they have all high gun depression. Now the Chinese are influenced by the Soviet Union, and all the Soviet Union with those round turrets, like you can see here, this turret, they all have horrible gun depression. The gun depression of these guns are only 5 degrees. You have to be on a flat hill, but you do not have any gun depression. Then this is not very handy though for a medium tank. A medium tank has to have high maneuverability and high mobility around him, so he can turn very easy, put his gun very easy, if you know what I mean. This is a very, I don't like this. But anyway, it's a very good tank. You also get 10,050 hit points. Was quite low though, but it's good enough. Then for the consumables, I'll go with plus 25% repair speed. This is not a bad option, why not have it? Minus 10% to load time, also a good option, why not have that at all? I mean, you are on a medium tank, you want to have the DPM. Basically the only reason why I haven't bought it yet is because I'm short on money. Even though I have 1 million, I still have to buy another tank, so I'm collecting money for it to buy it. Plus 5%, plus 5% to crew skills is not a, it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, plus 5% to our crew skills, why not? Camouflage, now don't go for it, it's just because it's cheap, I've put it on. Um, Also coded optics if you want to go scouting or something there in tier 9. And also plus 10% to aiming speed. Now the enhanced gun laying drive I recommend for you if you have the money to get it first. Because that extra 10% to aiming speed is going to save your life sometimes. Because the aiming speed almost takes off a half second, and that half second can save your life. Now for the crew skills I'll go with first common. The repairs are very handy to have on a medium tank. You need repairs because you do not want to waste much time repairing your tracks. Camouflage, no. Borders and arms is a good thing to have as a third crew skills or something, or as a second crew skills. Now for the command I'll go with 6 cents, like every single other tank of me. 6 cents first, so you at least know it that you're spotted. And mentor is also a very good thing to have because you provide an additional experience to all of your crew members. What makes it even better at the gunner, the driver, the loader. No, for the gunner you need quite some things though. First of all, the first thing what you want to have is snapshots, because then you improve your accuracy during turret rotation. Deadeye, because you do more damage with AP rounds, and this is pretty handy because you have a high damage per minute. And that's around it for the gunner. I'll go with the common ones on this crew member. Now for the driver you need quite some skills, because as a medium tank you have to maneuver a lot. Now clutch braking, you want to have it first because then you have a faster rotation speed, and that faster rotation speed makes it easy to do the carousel routine, like you saw from the intro what I was doing to that I think IS-3. Yes, IS-3. Controlled impact, no, this tank is pretty light. I do not recommend to crash into someone. As the second skill I go with smooth ride because it improves your accuracy firing on the move, and if you have higher accuracy on the move it makes you even better as a medium tank. Off-roading driving I'll go with 3 because then it makes you better in moving in swampy terrain or something like that. No, for the loader and the radio, man. For the loader you need this. Trust me people, it's a Chinese tank and the storage area will blow up so many times. You need safe storage because then you have a higher chance to not hit the ammo rack. For the second skill on the loader I'll go with Adrenaline Rush. And the Tuition it's not really recommended because mostly you're turning around tanks, you do not really have to switch between shells. And for the rest it's okay, maybe Call for Vengeance, but I'll go with the loader skills though on the loader. Then we have shell setup. For the shell setup I recommend to use lots of AP rounds, but I mean a lot, like 25 or something like that, a few heat shells to shoot away cover or getting some easy kills, and 1 or 2 gold shells, not too much because they're pretty expensive. Uh, for the consumables I recommend to use just the normal, the small recap, small repair kit, med kit, and the fire extinguisher. This engine doesn't really set itself on fire, so maybe go for quality oil so you have a plus 5% to engine power. It's your choice. And so that's it in the garage, and I'll see you in the battle. By the way, one fast word before going into the battle. I used to have a better gameplay, but then there is a new patch where it basically deleted all my old gameplays. So I'm sorry for that, you have to watch another gameplay, but still quite good though. Okay, so welcome back to the replay itself. This is a T-34-1 in battle, and as you can see I'm against tier 9s. So tier 9s should be a big problem for this time because it only has 175mm of penetration. And I'm not planning to use gold shells, so we are stuck with the 175mm of penetration. So what am I going to do? From the thing, I love this tank, but in tier 9 it's not that good anymore, I have to admit it, but this game will show you the opposite, that it's quite good in tier 9. Now what I did is I didn't really shot a lot of enemies, I did a big wall in scouting, because this is a camp map and people will camp if they can camp. And I'm going to speed up this part because the only thing what you can see is me trying to hit something from the spot. And I really can't hit anything, so there we go, and I'm going on my scouting wall. Now I'm not a suicide scout like you see a lot of people doing. I'm scouting tactically, so that doesn't mean that I'm getting hit, but so that doesn't mean I'm not getting hit, but it's not like I'm going straight without any clue to the artillery and die most of the time, like 90% of the time. There we have a nice tree, and what I'm doing here, all these tanks what you're seeing here up north, I'm spotting. So I'll get all the spotting damage what they are guaranteeing me. So that means that I earn around 50% of the damage, of the experience what they do to the tank. So the D75 is constantly spotted, and I'm going to, well, I was going to say that I was going to take the last shot, but never mind. And there we have a Panzer IV. I think it's a Panzer FLV. Yeah. Anyway, there is artillery. I spotted him. That's T-34-1.
Swallow
so bam.
this.
Why not shoot at him? He's big as hell. And there we go. The Jagdtiger finished him off. And then we have there we have the Panzer IV again.
Fist bump
Shooting,
this,
and I only did
douchebag.
around 220 damage. Now what I do recommend is for you to not make any snapshots in this tank, because this tank is one of those tanks where you need to be fully aimed to hit your target, otherwise it will not hit, if you know what I mean. So the AT-15 is spotted again on a spawning holder base though, and I was pinging the map like those tank destroyers aren't doing anything, they are just waiting there in the base to maybe get a kill or something like that. These tank destroyers are just standing still. I mean, the Ferdinand, for instance, only had like a 200 XP game or something like that. So what you can see here is I'm not going for the big tanks, but I'm going for the small tanks. Because they are worth more. Because I can't hit the big tanks. I'm letting my team do the job, killing out the
Fasten
big
your
tanks.
seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
So there we go, the SU just got destroyed, and oh, we have a big lower. And he bounced on my turret. Man, I got lucky there. So I had no idea what to do with the lower, because if I showed up, I'm basically fucked. Because he can kill me. So it takes too long to wait for my team, because I was getting bored here. And I thought like, why not go around? I mean, this tank has the speed and maneuverability to go around, so why not go around? And suddenly, oh, there he is again. taking easy shots
You've
here.
got a lot of guts. Let's see what they look like.
And he's exposing his juicy armor here.
Step right up and get
There we go,
some.
another shot, and I think my team will finish more from here. So that's it. Unfortunately, I only have one gameplay because my other gameplay was very good. It's had around 1700 experience or something like that, but it got deleted with the new update. So I'm sorry for that, but you have to watch this gameplay. This is not a bad gameplay also because it's recorded in a tier 9 match, and then you can see how the T-34-1 feels like in tier 9 match. But anyway, let's go back to the garage and have a little bit more talking about this tank. Okay, so overall it's a very good tank. It's very maneuverable, it has a quite good gun, but it suffers from low aiming time and low DPM. The armor is quite good. It's not that great. I mean, if people shoot at your hull armor, they will penetrate. Guarantee that they will penetrate, but they will not penetrate your turret, or very difficult to penetrate your turret. So if you can pass the technique, try to only expose your turret, like I said from my T-34 review. This tank is also very tiny in size, so it will be difficult to hit, and it's a quite fast tank though, so using it like a scout, as a passive scout, like I did from the previous gameplay, try to pass the same technique, and this tank should not be difficult to play. Although this is the first tank where I do recommend for you to at least save a little bit of free experience to get that gun very fast, because you do not want to use the 85mm. You do not want to use the 85mm for a long time. So that's it, and I'm going to end this episode. So demo creation rules, and you could choose a tank from my garage. What do you want to see me review next? Place it in the comments below, and also try to check out my channel so you know what tanks I've already reviewed. Next week I'm going to do, well, next time I'm going to do the Veert and Truly. Oh baby, I'm not looking forward to do a video of this, because is it bad? Yes. It's all the people say it's true about this tank. So that's it, and follow, and bye.